Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday at Dreamforce. Thank you so much for coming and spending your lunch hour with us. Hopefully, you got something to eat outside or somewhere along the way today. So just simply because you showed up, you've already won one of these 4 items on the screen. And we know that people win because somebody in the audience actually won one yesterday. So we're going to do a text to win promotion at the end. So stay tuned for that code, but you definitely want to stick around to hear what Pauline has to share about her story as well. Before we get going today, I need to make the obligatory statement that makes all the lawyers in the room or in the city or in the country or wherever they are in the world happy. So we're going to talk about some exciting things today, but if we make forward-looking statements and you're considering buying Remedyforce or other technologies from Salesforce, you need to base your purchasing decisions on what's available today. We don't want to buy on futures. We don't want anybody to get let down if things don't happen right when we thought that they would. So, with that, I have the great privilege to introduce Pauline Mulvey from Mitchell International today. By the way, my name is Erin Avery, and at BMC Software, I look after the solutions marketing for Remedyforce. Pauline and many of the members of her organization are one of our marquee customers. They have just done some amazing things with the Salesforce technology and with Remedyforce specifically. And so Pauline's going to be sharing her story today.
So hi, I'm Pauline. I run our internal business applications at Mitchell International. So how many of you know who Mitchell International is? And it's not the hair care people. Okay, probably most of you do not, but if you've ever crashed your car or been in an accident with somebody, an auto accident, or had some kind of workers' comp claim, more than likely the insurance company you work with, the body shops you work with, utilize Mitchell's software on the back end. So we work in the property casualty space. And we've been around since 1946, so that's a really long time. And some of the things that we had to deal with are, I mean, the good news is you got a lot of long-term employees. The bad news is you've got a lot of long-term employees and systems that go along with them and those types of things. So we had grown through the years through acquisition and a variety of, internal growth, that kind of a thing. And we almost ended up more like a holding company than as an enterprise. And we had a new CEO come in, and he really started to say, we are not getting the scale we need to get out of this business as we continue to grow. But it was because we were running it like, 4 or 5 separate little business entities. So he put together a CTO office, and we really started to look at business applications as a whole across the enterprise to be able to, kind of leverage the tool sets that we had, consolidate. We had a little program called From 40 to 4. We wanted to go from 40 disparate, individual tools that folks were using all over the company down to 4 core platforms. And we were looking at the cloud. In a minute, I'll go through how we started to use Salesforce. But as with probably many of your organizations, IT tends not to be heavily funded as much as we would like to or need to be with regard to the requests that we get from the variety of folks that we have to deal with or get to deal with. Sorry, I should make that positive, right? And having things in the cloud made it nice because I can focus on our business applications and the processes people are using instead of fixing hardware. I mean, servers, and we need more we need to boost this one up, we need more storage. I don't want to have to deal with all those types of things. Oh, the OS is out of date. When you start moving to cloud, you don't have to deal with any of those things anymore. So we really wanted to help eliminate that overhead of the hardware side of things, and that's why we started looking at the cloud. Also, having people on those 4 core platforms really allowed us to share information across the organization a whole lot better. We have a lot of people that work from home. We have a lot of offices. We're all over the place geographically, and so having people working in a common tool is really important to us. Also, Chatter. We're big Chatter users. You can follow me on Twitter, Chatter Me Babe. I love Chatter because I really think it helps the organization bring it together, and we've leveraged that a lot with our Remedyforce. And again, it's all on core platforms, so I don't have to have teams of people that had to learn something else when it came to bringing out on our ITSM. So we started out with Salesforce back in 2005, brought in the Sales Cloud, and in those days we actually brought in a different tool for our customer-facing folks because in 2005, when you talked to Salesforce and asked them about service, they said, you know, we can do service. And it was like, I ran the service organization then, and I didn't want one of those kind of vendors. So we started with the Sales Cloud, but by 2009, we really liked what was going on Salesforce with regard to their Service Cloud, so we rolled that out. In 2011, we rolled out company-wide Chatter to really bring that whole social collaboration into our business across everybody in the business. We rolled out work.com, which is the we did it for rewards and recognition, the badging, that kind of a thing, which really helped drive engagement. One of the things on our engagement surveys every year was, you know, do I get recognized for the work that I do? And that always came in a little bit low. So we implemented work.com. We've had almost a 15% increase in just a little over a year on that score. We just got this year's surveys back, so it's really helped to drive that. And then in January of this year, we rolled out Remedyforce, which is our bringing our ITSM solution onto that core platform. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we leverage that Remedyforce to drive some alignment and standardization across the company. This is a really cool slide. I would say with any SaaS vendor, it's really a matter, it's a journey. Because even if you implement everything they have, in another couple of months, they're going to give you more stuff. So you're constantly moving. So I think different from when we used to implement tools, and I would say we kind of did a dump and run from an IT organization, because you have lots of projects, right? So it's kind of like, these guys want this, great, get them up, get them running, see in 10 years when we replace it and bring in something else. You don't do that with SaaS. SaaS is really because they're constantly pushing you more and more features and functionalities. You know, you can constantly just take those steps forward instead of having to do a big bang type of thing. We were up and running. We started our implementation in September of last year, and we were up and running in January of this year. And really, we could have got up in December, but I didn't want to roll out over the holidays. So it's really a matter of, you can kind of pace. You don't have to do it all at the beginning, because you're never going to just walk away from the tool. It's an ongoing thing. So one of the other things that we really found that we haven't really thought about up front, we're a software company, so we have a lot of various and assorted tech support groups that are working directly with customers. And then you have your DevOps teams on the other side who every now and then get those escalations because, God forbid, we send out a few bugs every now and then. And we have this black hole because DevOps was working on an ITSM solution kind of over here, and tech support was in Salesforce. And so you always had that, what's going on? And we tried, hey, let's just escalate those cases over to DevOps. Well, then you lose complete visibility from the service side because, and since you're the one that has to take the calls from the customer, it was like we need to make sure we maintain that visibility. But there was always this gap of being able to get the DevOps folks necessarily to work that. Plus, on the DevOps side, they had stuff coming in from incident management, which was, thrown by monitors on systems, that kind of a thing. They had cases and stuff coming over from tech support. They'd get emails from folks, so they had stuff coming in from all over the place. And really, this helped us to bring all those components together, because now with Remedyforce and the Service Cloud, we've got everybody in a common system, and so it's really helped to bridge that gap. There's no more black hole there because everybody can see what's going on both sides. So this is kind of where we started out with. We had, because of the acquisitions, we have a lot of different dev teams, and everybody kind of did stuff their own way. We have some that are newer ones that we had acquired that are very simplistic and nice and streamlined, and then we have some legacy stuff. It's like, you do what? So trying to really bring those pieces together was really hard without having a nice tool that could help us to bring it together. And with Remedyforce, being able to leverage ITIL practices, I love it. Here's a secret, write this down. When you need to change the way people are doing things and they've kind of dug their heels in, all you have to do is say, well, let's use best practice. It doesn't matter if it's really best practice or not, as long as you're saying it's best practice. It's kind of one of those things that someone on the internet will be able to tell you, hey, use best practice. But that kind of, because then it's like, oh yeah, well, I don't want to not use best practice. So it really helps to kind of get them over the fence a little bit with regard to changing the way they look at things. But really, we were looking to say, all the various and assorted groups, we know your software is a little bit different, but from a process standpoint, we should be able to bring you all together so that it gives you opportunity if you're a developer over here, and now we need developers over there, and you want to move around within the company. Everybody's using the same process and tools, so it makes it a lot easier to shift those resources around. Having that visibility was huge for us, and since Remedyforce is leveraging the Salesforce platform, all the dashboarding, all the reporting, it's now putting that into the hands of the end users and the managers and teams that can grab that information and do whatever with it that they want. It's really simplified reporting. One of the guys in the NOC said, before we had Remedyforce, he used to spend 2 to 4 days at the end of the month creating all his reports that he had to do for everybody, and now he pushes a button. So that's a huge time savings, and if you look at that over a year, that's tons. The other thing is, again, with problem management, being able to have that visibility because it's all in a single tool to be able to pull all the pieces and parts together. When we first rolled out one of our big DevOps teams, they were kind of freaking out because the number of incidents they got went way up. And they were like, what's not working? How come this is like this? Well, what it was they weren't getting cases anymore. They weren't getting emails anymore. Everything was coming through incidents. So they actually had true visibility as far as what was going on with their team. And they were able to say, oh, see, we told you we were really busy. You know, yeah, can we get some help? Empowering customer support, talked about this a little bit already, but what we did was integrate Service Cloud with incidents in Remedyforce. So a service tech, if they need to escalate a ticket, can just open directly an incident on that case. So the DevOps guys can see all the case notes, and the folks on the server side can see 100% of the notes from the dev teams. So it just makes that visibility. You're no longer trying to chase around a developer to find out if they've done anything on a ticket, that type of thing. And dev side doesn't have to go back to the server side and say, well, what have you done with the customer, and did you try this, and give me the steps to reproduce. All of that information is now connected and available to everybody. Using Chatter, okay, this is one of my favorite things. How many of you have ever had an email server go down? So they send out an email to tell everybody that email's not working. I used to love that. I was like, are you kidding me? So we have a service desk group. And the other nice thing is people will crowdsource, because now it's not just the IT team that's seeing these. Everybody can see them. And so you get somebody posting something about something. And we see this a lot with our remote workers. Hey, I'm having trouble with VPN this morning. Anybody else having trouble? And it's like, then you can very quickly figure out if it's something that, yeah, we're having issues with regard to a carrier or something like that, or no, it's something on your desktop and you need to take, call the help desk to be able to take care of it. But crowdsourcing, and now I know when email is down and I'm not getting it because I can get it through Chatter. Change management is something we're in the process of rolling out right now. Again, lots of different dev groups that we're working with. We have a number of legacy tools that they were using for configuration management and pushing those changes through. And as the business continues to grow, and we're using Agile now, we're doing thousands of changes. So we really need to be able to automate that and make it a whole lot smoother, as well as automated instead of so many manual steps. So being able to do that, looking at all the pieces and parts, being able to leverage some of those best practices that are out of the box on change management for Remedyforce really is going to streamline things immensely. Our CM group is really excited about this. The dev teams, I'll say some of them jumped on board a little faster than some of the other ones, but the other ones are coming around now because they're seeing the benefits that the other groups are seeing with regard to reporting, with regard to visibility. So it really is helping when it comes to mitigating some of that red tape that we have. One of the other things when we rolled out our initial Remedyforce implementation was creating a service hub, a real simplistic, and this is kind of small, but and Mitchell likes to brand things, so everything's mine for Mitchell. Get it, my service. But we have, report. The first one's request a service. And one of the things that we had learned in talking to a lot of people before we implemented Remedyforce was, do not build a million types of service requests at the beginning, because you will find out you don't need them, and it makes it much harder for people when you roll it out because they're confused and they have way too many choices. So start simply. So we looked and took some of our most common things, and I'll say maybe we ended up with somewhere between, I'm guessing we have somewhere 50 to 75 maybe, but they're broken down into service desk items or network team items. We now have our HR teams on board, our facilities folks came on board, and this is the one place now for if I need something at the company, regardless of which team I need to reach out to, I can get to it from here. And it was interesting to see, we didn't really ask the company across the board who wanted to use this tool, and we never even thought that, marketing and our legal team, and they came and said, this is really cool, can we get our stuff to come through this as well? So it's more than just the IT, now it's pretty much company-wide. Anybody you need a request, it's really easy to come here. The other component, if it's not a service item, if it's a break-fix type of thing, it asks you what's broken, and what's the other things on there? Sandra, answer. Oh, where do you want this to go? Or who do you think this needs to go to? What type of thing? Really simple. It doesn't have a bunch of categorization that people have to fill out. It's 2 fields. That's it. So keep it really simple. On the back end, you can make your routing and all that kind of stuff as creative and crazy as you want. But keep it simple to that end user. It really helps with adoption. Again, we have a lot of long-term employees that don't like change, and when we first rolled it out, there were some times where they'd still call the help desk, and we kind of gently said, do you know how easy it is? Let me just show you and walk you through the new tool. And they were like, oh, this is much easier than waiting in line when I call the help desk, as well as they found out they can do it on their phones from the field, that kind of thing. So it's really it's really simplified a lot of the things. The other thing is with regard to the new hire process, before Remedyforce, when you had a new hire coming on, you had to, of course, deal with HR, and then you had to talk to IT about getting a computer. There was a ticket for that. And then you had to talk to the phone people and make sure there was a phone. You probably did that through email. You had to go to facilities, make sure they had somewhere to sit, make sure they had a chair, all those kinds of things. And so as a hiring manager, it was just kind of a pain in the neck. And you didn't have any one place you could go to make sure you would hit all those various and assorted teams so that you'd have somebody available. When they came in the door, all their stuff was there. So many times it wasn't. What we did was create a single form for new hires for a service request. And we made it dynamic in that, so it doesn't look like this huge form with 8,000 questions on it. What we did was say, there's a little section for the IT organization that says, hey, do they need a computer? And then if you click the box that says yes, it opens up and says, do they need a laptop or do they need a desktop? And then you can put in comments if you need something special for them. But it's dynamic, so it's even with their phones. Do they need IVR ACD? They do, then I need more information from you. Otherwise, don't need it. So, and it's all in one place. Tasks go out to all the various and assorted people so that as a manager, I can go look at my incident and see, has facilities done their stuff? Has IT done their stuff? HR done their stuff? So I now know, am I going to be ready for that new person that's starting on Monday? I don't have to guess anymore. Results. It's all about results, right? It's really just made it so easy. Our IT guys love it. I will say our NOC guy was not one of the biggest proponents of changing. He didn't like what he had, but he was a little tentative about moving to a new tool, especially, they want to go out and look at everything in the world, and we did come down to, 2 vendors. One of my rules is it has to be SaaS. My second rule is, and if it can work on a core platform that I already have in-house, that's much better. And the reason why is I have a team that supports Salesforce today. If I brought in another platform, I would have to have another team that learn that platform, or you steal resources from this team and move them over here, and then I have 1 or 2 people that know that platform, and God forbid they take vacation or out sick at the same time. It just really limits you, and having things on a common platform, that's a huge, huge value from a resource and education standpoint, because you can have people work on, I have a team, my Salesforce team can work on sales stuff, service stuff, IT stuff. It doesn't really matter, it's all on that same Force platform, so it makes it really easy. The collaboration aspects, everybody's on that tool. I can get to people through Chatter. Chatter has eliminated a lot of email noise that kind of used to go around the company. And again, it's mobile. One of the coolest things was I was out at a conference somewhere in February. So we had rolled out, everything was working well, and I was out on the road and I had my phone, and I was curious to see what was going on in Remedyforce, but I had never gone onto the Salesforce one to see what the Remedyforce stuff looked like. And we hadn't done any work on it, so I thought, oh, it's probably not there. We probably have to do something to turn it on or integrate it or whatever. But I got on, I clicked on, it's like, oh, there's one of the little things that come up, this incidents. Click. It's there! We did nothing! We did nothing! I love doing nothing and having stuff work. It's really, really nice. That makes my job easier, so it's all about me. But it really helped us to pull together all the various and assorted folks. And when you make it simple for people, they're more engaged. You get satisfied customers because now I've got that, I don't have that black hole. You got the true visibility of the customer 360 degrees, whether it's related to server things that are going on. Everybody can see that now, as opposed to only IT had that visibility. Our account managers know when stuff's going on with the servers because all that information's in Remedyforce and it's feeding them through Salesforce. So everybody's got the information they need to kind of know what's going on and can better communicate with customers. Aligning the work, everybody's on a common tool so we can standardize those processes across the enterprise. And then focusing on the results, everybody can do their own dashboarding, really easy, the reporting and things like that. I'm assuming since this is a Dreamforce concert thing, everybody knows how to do reporting in Salesforce. So it's simple, and you can have end users. It doesn't require an IT resource or someone with special skills. I can create them. I always tell them, if a VP can create reports, anybody can create reports. Because we just aren't that good. So with that, do we want to do the video thing, or do we want to have questions?
We should open it up to questions. I'm not sure we've had a lot of success.
Oh. Anybody have a question?
But I will just grab this mic real quick. Can you guys turn on the mics?
It's on.
It is on. Can you guys hear?
Can you hear me now? No.
It doesn't sound very successful. Okay, let's not worry about that then. So while you're thinking about the questions that you want to ask, since we're not going to worry about the video, if you can take out your mobile device and text BMC16 to 40691 for a chance to win any of those prizes, you absolutely can. And you just need to visit our stand. And if you are not a U.S. based, your mobile device is not U.S. based, you can use that bit.ly at the bottom of the screen,
so that you can also play this game and win something wonderful. Okay, so it looks like we're going to use this microphone for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Pauline about what they've done at BitchUp?
You can do questions.
Hi, I have a question related to your slide with Chatter and the support you provide. How do you manage this so it doesn't get out of hand? Because let's say you have an outage, like the VPN is down, or email is down, and suddenly you have 40, 50 people within 5 minutes posting signs all over. Basically, does your support or help desk look through each individual one? Do you respond individually? Do you put a comment? And also, how do you control from users putting not so good comments about your help desk?
Absolutely. Because our help desk is wonderful, so no one would ever do that to our help desk. But when it comes to an outage of some sort, the nice thing is they post. They will go out to that chatter group and post out there, so you always know what's going on. And then, depending on the type of outage and how severe, they will post every 15 minutes. And sometimes it's the very standard, hi, we've got a problem when we're working on it, but everybody knows. So it actually mitigates that, what's going on, because everybody knows what's going on, because it's all in the chatter group. The other thing is, it's kind of cool, if there is some kind of weird outage going on and there's workarounds, people will post. Well, I tried standing on my head and moving my left foot, and it worked for me, so that other people will, so you can help crowdsourcing that way. When we rolled out Chatter, there was absolutely a concern in the company of people saying, oh, people could post anything out there. Since we have been on in 2011, I have taken down 2 posts, period. One was within the first couple of weeks of rollout, and somebody put up like a Facebook, hey, here's my funny uncle doing whatever. We said, that's great for Facebook, not really appropriate for work. Took that down. And then there was one other post, and I want to say it had political sounding stuff to it, and we took it out. That's it. So when you explain to people, you post stuff out on Chatter, if it's something you don't want the CEO of the company to see, you probably shouldn't post it on Chatter. So we have not crossed that line. I hear there's a very entertaining group that Salesforce has, like air your grievances or something. We haven't gotten that brave, but nothing's preventing people from doing that. But we really have not had any huge, issues with that.
Thank you. So we have Remedyforce, and this is their developer and I'm the BA, and we always have fights about workflows versus Apex coding and triggers to do certain things like routing a ticket to the appropriate group. Also, like if triggers of emails, etc. Blah blah blah. What did you find in your organization to be useful for you? Did you use workflows or did you use triggers, custom coding?
Yes. And what I would say is my team is tired of hearing me say, if we can use out of the box, I want out of the box. I don't want customization. Why? Because customization requires us to change it down the road. Workflow hopefully doesn't. We can have a different level of person deal with workflow things. So if I can do it with workflow, don't bother to do the code. But at the same time, I want it to be clean and simple, and if it requires a little bit of custom code to do that, like the dynamic stuff we did on our service request for the new hires, that was some custom code.
Can I add on to the question? So just to add on to that, the reason why we have fights is because right now you've already reached
For a challenging conversation.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we've actually had to ask Salesforce to increase our limits for workflows because we couldn't move our stuff over from QA to production because it's like you're at your limit. And so like one of the things that we have is we want to do optimization of our workflows, triggers, routing, etc. So I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of things where there are limits on Salesforce, you can ask and they'll move them. They just set that basic threshold, but more than likely, if you need them, they'll adjust them for you.
Just a quick question. We have Salesforce, we've been a Salesforce shop for a long time. And then we went Remedyforce a couple years ago. What I find I struggle with is my developers want to use Salesforce to customize everything in the world. And I have to do the same thing. I'm like, can you just get me out of the box? So how do you kind of manage that a little bit more? I know you went into it just a second ago, but how do you kind of control your developers from, is that a sad thing to say? They're old and let them know.
It's also fair because sure, because it's fun, right? It's fun to develop stuff. It's fun to get creative. So we have hackathons every now and then. We actually have them coming up at the end of this PSI over Thanksgiving, where we have a couple of days where they can do whatever they want, wildly creative. We're really encouraging them to do things on the mobile app and that kind of a thing. But the other thing is, again, when it comes to, we're agile, so I get to see demos every 8 weeks of all the stuff they're working on and that kind of a thing, and they know if they've done a bunch of customization, I'm going to ask why they've done a lot of customization, and they, it's that little extra, oh crap, I have to talk to Pauline about this, so it's a scary tactics. Manage my intimidation. Works.
Oh, you got one.
Yesterday you mentioned the fact that you choose to go to a vendor for deployment and rollout, and I'm curious what you do to actually find those vendors. Because some people are not the best, some are, and what is your criteria around that?
Well, actually, on our road with Remedyforce, we had been working with a vendor, somebody who's local to us in San Diego. We had met them at user groups and all kinds of things, a partner. And they had kind of helped us walk along the way of, yes, we're going to be going with Remedyforce and this, that, whatever. And then we came down to the statement of work, and it had someone else's name on it. We said, who are these guys? Oh, well, you know, we do this kind of stuff, but we don't really do this kind of stuff, so we kind of, and I picked up my phone, and I talked to my guys at Remedyforce, and I talked to my Salesforce guys and said, help, who do you recommend? I want somebody who can help us get this done. And Stonebridge, who is now Cloud Action, came in at the very last minute, very quickly, understood what our needs were, and they were awesome. So leverage the people who, you know, leverage BMC. They know who their good partners are. They really do, and they were awesome. Couldn't have asked for a better partner. But, you know, you gotta, so we did not do a great job when we looked for somebody. We thought we did, but not so much. So I would really go to BMC and ask them. Go to Salesforce and ask them. They're gonna tell you who your good partners are.
Thank you.
We have actually just purchased, and while I'm here at Dreamforce, they're in the process of doing some back-end stuff of rolling out of Remedyforce, which is super awesome. Do you have any lessons learned that I could take back with me that say, you know, this was really integral in our organization, that shoulda, woulda, coulda moment that I can take back and say, hey guys, we need to be aware of Splat?
I would say define what pieces and parts you're going to roll out at the beginning, because the scope creep is real easy. But again, it's not going to be a one and done thing. It is going to be an ongoing. So it's really, what do we want to accomplish? And our driving issue was our old system on premise. The hardware was really old and it kept dying. And I felt like we had those paddles and you just helped every time the person became alive again. Please don't die yet. We're not deploying for another. So we had a very tight kind of, but then it was like, ooh, but look at the pretty stuff in change management. Let's do some of that. And the project manager was very good at saying, guys, remember we defined this box, let's focus, let's get this done, and then we'll move on to the other things. And the other thing was, again, just with the whole company, having a service portal. It's not just about IT. So who are those other groups who could potentially benefit from leveraging Remedyforce and its capabilities that aren't necessarily just IT people? Because HR, anybody who's doing requests and trying to manage that workload, Remedyforce is an awesome tool for them.
I'll add to what Pauline said. One of the things we also did at Rollout was did a war room. So we had all people that were involved in the implementation and the rollout meet daily and go through anything that was happening so we could address the issues right away. So I think communication, all the way through.
They said it.
Any other questions for Pauline? We did a really fantastic video. She's great on camera, so come by the booth. Fantastic. So when you come by the booth to claim your prize, we would love to show you that video of Pauline and the Mitchell story. It's also on the BMC website, bmc.com/Dreamforce on the right-hand side as well, if you wanted to visit that on your mobile device, you could view it as well. Okay, guys, Pauline, you were wonderful. Let's give her a warm round of applause.